Good morning. The directors of the Zanzu nightclub are set to hold a media briefing in Auckland Park in Joburg today. Videos emerged on social media last month showing young men being tortured and sexually assaulted at the establishment. The recordings date back to 2022 and 2023. Last month, police arrested a 41-year-old Congolese man in connection with the incident. He made a second appearance in court on Monday. He faces 8 charges of compelled sexual assault and 6 counts of assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. My colleague Iman Rappetti joins us now ahead of the briefing. Iman, good morning to you. After so many questions, finally today, hopefully, we should get some answers.
Well, if the news alert from seasoned legal practitioner and the lawyer contracted in this case, Zola Majavu, is anything to go by, there is a promise to unmask and engage openly, and that's exactly the kind of openness and transparency the country's been looking for over these last few weeks since that viral video depicting those heinous crimes on social media. So what do we know about the suspect at the center of all of this? A 41-year-old Congolese man who was picked up in Yeoville not too long ago, which is near the Johannesburg CBD. We understand that arrest was as a result of an informer tipping off the JMPD, and that's when they made that arrest. So we're expecting that the dominoes will begin to fall. At least that's what the police are expecting, that more suspects, more people depicted in that video might then also be apprehended. But what's interesting about the suspect is that we still aren't able to show his face. He's the subject of a police identity parade. You know that more people have come forward. At the weekend, we understand a 7th victim has come forward to lay charges and to make a claim again in this sexual assault scandal. But we also heard, Stephen, that he is a former extreme fighting champion. That's one other detail. And the other is, which we heard earlier in his first court appearance, that he actually had a previous conviction and charge against him in respect of theft, and that was then settled without any jail time, is what we understand. So those are the details relating to the suspect himself. But what's interesting is exactly how many people have come forward to say, I've been abused, I was caught up in this, and I want to open a case. And the person with the latest on that is my colleague Ziniko Mhlaba. Ziniko, tell us more about exactly how many people have now come forward. And also what's so tragic, but I suppose also significant, is one of the men that you spoke to who related that gut-wrenching tale of how he was abused and caught up in all of this. It seems as if he might be one of the latest to go forward and say, I've got a claim to make.
That's correct, Iman. Actually, when you look at the numbers, before we went to court yesterday, we knew of 6 individuals. However, during the briefing we're getting from the head of prosecutions at the Pretoria Magistrate Court, that's when we were told that there is a later suspect who had come out very late last week, and that was one of the reasons the matter was postponed due to that suspect coming out. However, yesterday I was in conversation with with the gentleman I had spoken to exclusively as Newzroom Afrika is one of the suspects who were assaulted in December in 2023 rather. And of course, yesterday he reached out to me. He did say that he was planning to go and show himself and present himself to the authorities in Pretoria. And of course, later on, he did confirm that he has gone to the police station in Pretoria. So in terms of the numbers now, if we look at the number of people who've been told, who've been engaged, we might be looking at 8 individuals who has come out. However, we're still waiting for the South African Police Service to really then officially announce. So from what I understand from the trends and patterns of the people I've been talking to and what was said in court, we are estimating that at least now 8 people have shown up.
And I think it's important just to share the impact of what these cases have meant in individual lives. The gentleman that Ziniko is talking about shared this harrowing story of how he has not been able to function using alcohol as a form of medication. And I'd love for our viewers to just listen to a snippet of that interview again.
Nginile satelentrance sangena amachita ayo utujwala and then sabuya sahlala phansi saphuza. After a few minutes kwaza amabhawuthala wana ne waitress wasibiza siyayuphi emuva le abapaka khona storage sawo. So in masifika lapha they tell us ukuthi our money is billet yashota. After there thina sabatshela ukuthi kanjani ngoba sibadeli bachapo bangafuna ukuzwa isayide story sithi kwenzakala ila baqala bashaya ela ngamachwala bathi sihlula impahla.
The details there of a harrowing and life-altering trauma. Ziniko will tell us a little bit more now about where the case is at and what the big expectations are from today. Ziniko, we saw that news release from the management of Zanzu on the 17th of February, where they've already admitted knowledge of these things happening.
Yeah.
So a lot of questions for Zola Majavu today.
So with the first question I think we need to be asking, we will need to ask them is the fact that have they reached out to authorities? Because police officers from day one, they've been saying that they need as much information as they can, whether from Pablo himself, who is known as a whistleblower, but also from the management of that establishment itself. So I think that's one thing we'll have to establish, whether they've been interacting with the police or not. The gentleman I spoke to also said that he would like to have a conversation with the owners themselves of that establishment, because in terms of their personal esteem, their well-being, their reputation, they also like say they've never had any conversation with the owners. So we'll have to ask them, the owners themselves today, whether they've reached out to these victims. Are they interested? Do they have contacts? Do they need any help in terms of reaching out to those gentlemen? But also, why now? Remember, there was a criminal expert who had said that we might end up having these two sides circling outside court. So we'll get a sense of whether that is possible, or that's the road that these owners will be taking in terms of trying to reach out. But also, what is at stake for them? Because police are still looking for some of those victims. So will this be an opportunity for law enforcement agencies to really pounce on these gentlemen, just to get more information, not necessarily to arrest them, but to get more information that will lead them to the arrest of the other parties who are implicated in this torture incident?
So, Stephen, if things get underway at 11 o'clock at the appointed hour, hopefully a number of these questions will be raised, and I expect it's going to be quite a tough news conference for Zola Majavu to be able to answer, shed light, and to play open cards with the South African public and those victims directly. So these are all the expectations ahead of 11 o'clock, and we'll bring those proceedings to you live as soon as they come online.